Sabaha everybody and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to unbox and do an initial impressions of the brand new Honor 9X Pro. In a recent trip to Shenzhen, I had the opportunity to pick this guy up, and I want to share with you guys, of course, my impressions and thoughts of as far as basically the evolution of the Honor 9X or the Honor X line of devices. It's always budget friendly, but it also packs in a lot of nice features, and this year is definitely no surprise. But I finally actually have access to a Pro line of these devices, as I've always had access to the standard version. Let's go ahead and see what makes the Pro so much more better than the standard Honor 9X. This is TK, let's check it out. And here we have the brand new Honor 9X Pro. Again, keep in mind there's two variants of this. This is the Honor 9X Pro, and we do have that nice little glass shimmering here, and I'm hoping to kind of show that to you guys right there. It does have actually a nice little X, it kind of just draws out an X in here. You'll notice also on the back that we have a triple camera setup. This triple cameras that we have here is a standard 48 megapixel sensor. That's the Sony sensor. We have it set at f1.8, an 8 megapixel wide angle lens, which is not present on the standard version of the Honor 9X. So the Pro does gain an additional camera, and we do have, of course, a 2 megapixel sensor that's mostly a depth information, and of course the LED flash. We have the Honor logo sitting here at the bottom, dual tone purple and reddish hue going in that do kind of draw out that little X depending on how you do the light reflection. On the left side, we have nothing. On the front, we have a 6.59 LCD 1080p panel, and this is basically supported by no notch, no teardrop, no punch hole camera. There is a speaker at the top, but we also have a front-facing camera that actually pops up in a nice little mechanism right there, similar to the way we've seen it with, let's say, the OnePlus 7 Pro, as well as the Redmi K20. So this is definitely very nice, and of course, a new way for us to be able to have full displays without any notches or any issues there. As far as on the right side, we have a fingerprint sensor that's built into the side that's similar to the Honor 20, which is really nice. It's very fast and very responsive. We of course have, that also does double up as a screen on, screen off functionality, as well as the ability of unlocking the device. The volume rocker is right above that. On the top, we have the SIM card, SIM tray that's capable of also supporting SD cards of up to 256 gigs, as well as the pop-up camera mechanism and one of the microphones. Switching over to the bottom, surprise, surprise, we have a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is still present on here, as well as the USB-C for data and charge, as well as the ability of using the bottom firing speaker, and lastly, that additional microphone that we have there. Looking through the rest of the box, we do have basically a free case that's included here with a SIM removal tool. We do have a standard charger that is Chinese supported, but it also works in the US because they use very similar plugs to the US, so this should also work for me in the US as well. Last but not least, a USB Type-C to USB Type A. That's something that we haven't seen on an X-line device to date. That's the ability of using a USB-C line of charging. So no longer accessing or using the micro USB. I don't know, and I can't speak directly for the standard model. I do at least know that the Pro does not need to have micro USB, that it is finally upgraded to USB Type-C. So what we have here is a 6.59 IPS LCD display. We have no notch, as I mentioned to you guys, and no punch hole camera. Everything is basically configured with that pop-up camera on the front, and of course on the back we have that triple camera setup, the wide angle lens, as well as the 48 megapixel sensor there. And it seems like the 48 megapixel sensor here is set at f1.8, and it is basically the most popular sensor of 2019, as it almost looks like everybody's using it on their devices. We do not have an app drawer in the standard installation when you first boot it up, but we do have basically the app gallery from Huawei and Honor. That's their application store in a sense, so you can definitely sideload the Google Play Store to be able to get Google services and YouTube and so on. Other than that, going through the settings themselves, this is running Android, EMUI 9.1 as well as Android 9. Now, it's not called Magic UI, but I'm not sure if maybe even if the X line it primarily only carries the EMUI line, and the Magic UI carries with the higher end models of Honor devices. We'll go into the settings tab. Everything is pretty much organized. You do need to log into your Huawei ID if you have that wireless connection, configuration, home screen. Wallpaper, home screen settings, you can go in there and customize, change the actual aspect ratio. I am running gestures right now, and this is basically supported within the system. Going into the display, we have the eye comfort, sleep, text size, all the different normal things that we have. We do not have native dark mode, as this is an LCD panel, so you don't have that. But gestures are definitely very nice. If you want to be able to switch it over to have an app drawer, just go into the home screen style, switch it over, give it a second, and of course the app drawer is then present, and you're able to use it in the normal way. We'll go ahead and say later, and then I will go home. And then last but not least, I want to share with you guys real quick here is a sound, notification, apps, battery. This does support a 4,000 milliamp battery that again is supported with USB-C charging at the bottom. Storage, we have 128 gigs of internal storage here with 8 gigs of RAM, and there is a 256 gigs of internal storage with 8 gigs of RAM model for the Pro side. We have digital well-being, of course, security and privacy, smart, of course, and last but not least, so the model number is HLKAL10. This is a dual SIM model as well as a supporting SD card, as I mentioned. We are running EMUI 9.1.1 with Android 9.0 beneath that. We have the AI functionality at the top. We have photo mode, video, more, portrait. Night mode, of course, is present, and of course, aperture mode since we have the dual sensors. And that's where that 2 megapixel sensor that we have here are the secondary sensor that enables us to have that bokeh effect. And of course, if we switch over, let's go ahead and back to night mode or even portrait mode, and then we'll switch over, the front-facing camera will pop up. So you can see right there, let's go ahead and close it. Now, it seems like it's a little bit slower than some of the ones that we've seen before, and you can definitely see it right there. But overall, we have the same options. We have night mode, that's actually only work, unfortunately, on the back sensors. Portrait mode, photo mode, video mode will work, and of course, the additional modes that you can download and check out here, like motion picture and all of that. And as far as the back-facing resolution, maximum resolution will be, again, full screen at 1080p, no 60 frames per second, but again, should be pretty nice. So 1080p both on the front and on the back. And as far as the cameras, of course, you're able to use the different modes. You have AI mode both on the front and on the back, and of course you can customize the resolution, motion, the mirror reflection, and all the other options that you normally want. Let's go ahead and do a quick sample of the front-facing and the back-facing camera video on the brand new Honor 9X Pro. We're going to start off with the 16 megapixel sensor that we have on the front here. Again, we are capped at 1080p at 30 frames per second. Hopefully it should be a good example of basically how the audio and the video playback on the brand new Honor 9X Pro. Let's go ahead and switch over to the back-facing sensor. That's the 48 megapixel sensor. Go ahead and switch over to the back-facing sensor, and now we have basically access to that 48 megapixel sensor. Again, it is capped at 1080p. There is no 4K at this point. I'm not sure if this will come in a separate update, but we do have the ability of using both sensors in video. So like right now I'm using the standard focal length, and we're able to jump into wide angle lens again in the same video without having to stop the video. The only thing that I would say definitely is just keep in mind that the 8 megapixel sensor is not going to give you the same quality of video as the 48 megapixel sensor. So just keep that in mind if you switch between the two. But of course we can always switch back, and we should be able to even use some of that zoom that we have in here, although digital should still be able to give us some great images out of this brand new 48 megapixel sensor that's on the Honor 9X Pro. Now, because I don't actually have the ability of playing YouTube videos and playing non-copyrighted music, I do want to say that I just played the song that's built in here. This is the We Are the Brave song, the theme song for basically Honor and Huawei. And it does actually sound pretty good. It is a bottom-firing mono speaker. The earpiece does not double as a secondary speaker, unfortunately. So the overall impressions of what we get here with the Honor 9X Pro essentially is a massive display, very nice design, dual cameras with an assist 2 megapixel sensor there for the depth information. We do have the 48 megapixel sensor. We do have AI. We also have the ability of expanding storage on this. So we have 8 gigs of RAM with 256 gigabytes of internal storage capable. That's the maximum end version of this device. The version that we have right now is currently only doing 8 gigabytes with 128 gigs of internal storage, but again, very, very nice. The display is IPS LCD, 1080p. It's not going to give us, obviously QHD, but again, at about roughly $230, this device is going to basically give us a lot of good things into it, namely the fact that we also still have a 3.5mm headphone jack, expandable storage with micro SD, pop-up camera, full display, no notch, as well as USB Type-C. We no longer have we don't have micro USB anymore, and this is something that we've been wanting out of Honor devices for a long, long time, specifically the X line. All the other devices have gone USB-C for years, but the X line for some reason has been lingering in USB-C, micro USB land for a long, long time. So let me know in the comments below, what do you guys think of the brand new Honor 9X Pro? Is this something that you guys have considered looking into? Are you in the market for it? It should be coming out globally very, very soon. Currently, this model is, again, only the Chinese model, and I'm not sure as far as color and basically capacity availability, but I'll keep you guys updated, of course, once we have more information about this device. Like and subscribe as usual. Thank you very much for the support, and I will see you guys in the next video.